Welcome back. Today I'm going to be focusing on my coping toolbox and looking at whether loop earplugs are a useful hearing protection option for music or social situations. The big question for me is, should I update my hearing protection toolkit to include a high fidelity loop option? I do want to say I am not affiliated or associated with any product or company, so this is just my personal opinion and info share. I am a retired audiologist. I specialized in noise risk assessments and recommending and fitting hearing protection for different exposure environments. And I did write an article on building your hearing protection toolkit that was published in Tinnitus today, and that is available for free through Issue, and I have a link to that in the description below and from my website if you're going to my website. Okay, so for my coping toolbox approach, again, I want to look at myself as a whole person, sound, mind, and body, and today I'm zeroing in on hearing protection because noise is defined as harmful and or unwanted sound, and that's what I need it for. I need to protect my ears from harmful exposures, but because I have hyperacusis, I also need hearing protection for uncomfortable or painful sounds that might not bother other people. So what's in my hearing protection toolkit now? Well, of course I have my finger plugs that I use for intermittent or random sounds, or the fam's using the blender and I need to protect my ears. I already have high noise reduction, so I have these are foam earplugs. I find those comfortable. So I have a pair for sleep. I have a pair with cords. I don't like wearing the corded ones for sleep because I worry, what if I get strangulated by the cord? And then the other type that I have, these are also high noise reduction, but they're a pre-molded flange type earplug. So I'm happy with these. Again, the ones that I use for sleep, that's only for short term, like in a noisy hotel room, because it's not good for people with tinnitus and hyperacusis to wear hearing protection for sleep regularly. Is going to make it worse. So I've got my high noise reduction, but the problem is that I had my great ER20 high fidelity ones, but they were lost and broken, and so I'm looking for a replacement option. The first mistake I made was I was trying to save money, and there were these kind of cheap music earplugs that I found online. The ER20s used to be like $20, and then they got really expensive, and so I would have bought a replacement pair of them, but I cheaped out. So basically they've got they've got a nice little carabiner and a nice little case. They've only got 2 flanges. They do not fit my ears. They just fall right out. There's no way they would seal out sound waves. I should have known better, and I should have sent them back. Anyways, it's not the most reputable brand, and that should have been a big key for me. So that was when I ended up getting my loops. So I've been using them since January of 2025, so that's about 8 months now. And what do I need? Okay, I already mentioned for my hearing health status for my hearing protection needs, I have tinnitus, I have moderate hyperacusis, loudness, pain, and fear, and have mild high-frequency hearing loss. The biggest thing is fit, because if location is the most important thing for real estate, fit is the most important thing for hearing protection. Because if it doesn't fit your ears properly, it's not going to seal out sound waves, and you might as well not even bother. So I need earplug styles for small ears, easy to insert, and comfortable. And I want high fidelity, and again, I also want high noise reduction. So if I can get 2 of those in one, that's really makes me happy. So the loops are designed and engineered in Belgium. Now what they have is, I got them with the link, I think it's called a link cord that connects them because I don't want to lose them. So that makes me feel safer. It's got a little magnet, so it's actually quite nice. They have 3 noise reduction modes. So you can go low is the lowest noise reduction. They call it engage, 17 dB SNR. Medium or moderate noise reduction is what they call experience, was 21 dB SNR. And high noise reduction, which they call quiet, is 26 dB SNR. And the SNR is a single number rating that's mainly used in Europe. It's passive noise reduction, there's no batteries, no electronics, and the interesting thing, which I've never tried before these, is that you can manually switch between the modes in an instant. And so that was what really interested me about these ones. Okay, so are they in my size? I was a bit worried when I got them because they only have the 1 flange, but they totally fit. The thing I really like is you can get them in one-handed, so you can see that I could just get that in there. They do snugly fit. Again, I want a good seal. I want to know that those sound waves are out, and so I can hear that my own voice sounds different, and I can hear that they're cutting the ambient sound. So now my voice feels a little bit echoey. Are they comfortable? Definitely, for first putting them in, they're comfortable. I've worn them for like concerts that were 3 or more hours, and they were fine, where sometimes the foam plugs push out on my ear canals and it gets a bit sore. I was on a vacation that was way noisier than expected, and I had to wear my Loop earplugs. It was 2 to 3 weeks of days in a row wearing them, and they were pretty comfortable for that. It wasn't until after about 3 weeks of daily use that I started to get a bit sensitive. And then are they easy to adjust? Absolutely. All the way to the front is the low noise, all the way to the back is high noise. And it's a little bit hard to hear the difference sitting in a quiet room, but I could hear the difference when I was out and about. I tried them, not really so much at home because I don't like wearing hearing protection at home, but for community and travel use. And so let's start off with amplified music or audio. Okay, I'm maybe going to take them off now because my voice sounds weird. Okay, and again, I can hear that difference of the sound coming back. So if you don't notice that when you're wearing hearing protection, it's not in your ears, right? Okay, so first off, I tried the Loop at different restaurants, and I really like them. Again, they're easy to just pop in for the amplified music. When I went on vacation, I did go on a cruise, which is the loudest vacation I've ever been on. So if you have hyperacusis, I would really think about whether that's the vacation that you want, because there was a lot of pop-up amplified music around the pool. There was a lot of amplified music, super loud, like in different spots. So for like the bars and the live shows, I have to say these really worked well. A few of the shows were so loud that people were walking out. Actually, my partner had to leave during one show because it hurt his ears, and I was fine. I thought it was quite comfortable. The other thing that I thought was a really good feature is, so here for an example, I'll pop them back in again, and you'll see how easy this is, like so easy. So again, my partner's sitting here, and then there was a person with hearing aids sitting here, and so I was chatting with them about how do you wear hearing aids at a noisy show, and they told me, I just turned them off. But because there was background sounds, I had one loop on high, and then I turned this one to low so I could have a conversation, and then turn it back to high for going back to the show. And so it's that quick and easy to adjust them, even from side to side if you're wanting to block out more from one side so you can focus on the other. And I like that. Okay, I have been to a few concerts. There's a venue in Vancouver called the Commodore. It is a thumpin' place. It's got like a sprung dance floor, super fun for concerts. So I went to see Ninja Sex Party and Tupperware Remix Party when they came to Vancouver this year. So I had my loops on in the lineup, even on low, because I have hyperacusis and there was a lot of people around, and there was also buskers. So there's sirens going whoop whoop. So I had mine on low for outside. Most people, as soon as you get to the venue doors and get in, there's amplified music in the venue, and I recommend putting in your hearing protection at that point. And so as the show went on, of course, it got louder and louder. And I wasn't in the mosh pit this time. You can see from one of the pictures that I was up at the bar kind of face on watching. So I was further away because unfortunately my mosh pit days are gone. Sad face emoji. But I have to say that the sound quality was fantastic. And I forgot my foam earplugs at home. That's usually what I use for concerts because, you know, I worry about the loudness, but also comfort. So I was a little bit freaking out because I forgot my foam ones. But the loops on the high noise reduction, it was really good sound quality. And the only time I heard them go into distortion was when some people behind me were screaming, and that bumped it up into a distortion situation. But I would say for concerts, I thought they were really good. The sound quality was good. Then for events, this summer I went to the Annie Revo anime convention in Vancouver at the big convention center. Again, it was a type of situation where inside some of the event rooms, like some of the costume shows and that type of thing, or contests, that there was a lot of amplified music, and so of course I had my earplugs in and they worked really well. But again, there's a lot of people at the convention center, and so I had left the loop in just on low because I was concerned about, it's an unpredictable sound environment. And I was really glad I did, because at one point someone dropped a huge metal box they were about 3 feet above the ground, and it smashed down on the floor and made a huge sound right near where I was. And it didn't bother me because these kicked in and blocked it out. So that's a good point of these. And like if you were a teacher or something like that, this would be something to consider because you can adjust them and they're there when there's an unexpected sudden sound. The other event that I went to was the annual Pride Parade in Vancouver. Again, tons of people. And so at certain points in the parade, it's just a lot of talking and kind of human noise. It's not harmful because there was nothing amplified, but then when the floats and parts of the parade came through, they're DJing it on their trucks and it was super loud. So again, I was really glad to have these. They worked really well. And there was a big party afterwards where you could walk up and down. Like they closed off some of the streets, and they had one of the parks. They had bands playing, and so again, loops were great. So other than amplified music and social situations where I want that high fidelity, I wanted to know how the loop worked for noise emissions. So the one place I tried them was for leaf blowers, and they actually worked really well. I had them on high, and I could be about 6 feet away from the person with the leaf blower, and it was okay. And I think that's because the sound was loud enough to trigger the loop. Because on other noise emissions that are more moderately loud instead of loud, the loop did not work as well. So, example, I had to take a plane. When I was buying the loop, I was looking at the reviews, and people were saying, oh yeah, they're great for sleep. And that made me wonder, because whenever I see a high fidelity type earring protection being said that it's good for sleep, like there's no one hearing protection that works for everything, so that makes me suspicious. So I tried putting them in on high for sleeping on the plane, but it just doesn't cut out the low frequencies enough. There's no way that I would want to, it wasn't good enough for me, and then I couldn't hear what people were saying very well. So I prefer my foam earplugs or like a solid type earplug on the plane. Another option might be if you had some type of earbud or headphone that had automatic noise cancellation. That might also be better on the plane, but I didn't think, like for the loop, these are a Switch2. They were no good for that. And again, I just want to warn that using earplugs for sleep regularly can make tinnitus or hyperacusis worse. It increases the brain hyperactivity or overactivity, and proven treatments recommend ambient sleep sound or environmental sleep sound, not earplugs. So again, short term, you're staying at a noisy hotel, that's okay. But every day at home, to be wearing earplugs, no. Okay, so I was really wondering about the leaf blower versus the airplane, and I really think that the loop is not great with like low frequency noise where you're getting into those really deeper sounds. So I think if you were in an environment especially harmful noise emissions like airplane cabins, manufactured products like leaf blowers, household appliances, things like that, you're going to be better off with a different type of higher noise reduction earplug. Or if you can, something that has some automatic noise cancellation. Again, keeping in mind that the root solution or the best solution would be noise control at the design stage, so that aircraft and gardening tools and construction equipment actually has noise emission limits at the manufacturing stage, and that we're not stuck getting exposed, because we can't shut our ears like we can our eyes. And so the other place I tried them was taking the bus, and in Vancouver we have a SkyTrain, that's our rapid transit. So it's like a subway, parts of it are above ground, and that's why they call it a SkyTrain. And so again, I didn't really like the loop for there, and so what I used instead is I have these earbuds. They have automatic noise cancellation, so I put these in with the automatic noise cancellation turned on, and that was more comfortable for me. Again, I think it's because it cuts a little bit more of the low frequency noise, and then I can also just have some enjoyable music on at a very soft, comfortable volume. And again, for me, that's at most around a 30% loudness setting. And little quick warning here, if you're using earbuds or headphones and you're listening at 50% or higher, you are putting yourself at risk of noise-induced tinnitus, hyperacusis, and even hearing loss. So keep the volume as low as you functionally need. And again, if you have well-fitting earbuds that help block off your ear canals and screen out the noise, as well as the automatic noise cancellation, then that's going to be better. The stock earbuds are pretty useless for that. So, do I like the Loop Switch2 earplugs? Will they make it into my hearing protection toolkit? Yes, I did like them, and I will keep using them. The thing is, I still need my other hearing protection options. So as usual, I have more than one tool in my toolkit with all my different earplugs. I should mention that I don't like earmuffs because they make my tinnitus worse. So that's why I don't have earmuffs. And otherwise, there's nothing wrong with earmuffs. Again, they don't help in all environments. So again, having multiple options helps with picking and choosing. The one thing that I did notice is that I was wearing my loops a lot from May to August, again for like 3 weeks in a row and then several weekends in a row, and my hyperacusis maybe seemed a bit worse afterwards. So the bottom line for any earplugs or hearing protection, especially for people with tinnitus and hyperacusis, is the more time we can spend with our ears wide open to safe soundscapes is the healthiest. The less time we have earplugs, earmuffs, earbuds, headphones, anything like that on our ears is less healthy, especially for tinnitus and hyperacusis. So the loop made it into my hearing protection toolkit, and so that's now my high fidelity pre-molded earplugs with a cord with low, medium, and high noise reduction settings. Just to sum up, my top tips for tinnitus and hyperacusis: to lower brain hyperactivity underlying tinnitus and hyperacusis, because sound exposures are like physio for the ears, and overusing hearing protection can make our tinnitus and hyperacusis worse. So keep your ears wide open as much as possible, especially at home or in natural spaces. Don't avoid sound. Soft, comfortable, ambient sound exposures are good for our ears. Always use hearing protection for harmful noise exposures. And if you have hyperacusis and you need to use hearing protection for comfort, for painful or distressing sounds, that's okay. Avoid overprotection, which is too much hearing protection. So we don't want to be doubling up just for everyday noise. It's not unless you're like going for an MRI or underground mining or something like that. So as far as my coping toolbox approach, I'm going to be talking some more about those types of things, as far as overprotection, weaning off of too much hearing protection, safe sound versus noise, and also stop labeling people with hyperacusis for actually harmful noise exposures. So I hope this information has helped at least one person. Please feel free to like, subscribe, or check out the links in the description below. If you're tired of safe sound science and all the tinnitus and hyperacusis and noise stuff, please feel free to check out my Messed Up Storytime channel, where I share my dark horror stories as well as a few silly stories, just for a change of pace. Stay safe and quiet cheers.